Okay, 24 was it. Keldorn. All right. Some new players from the new time that I'm streaming. Okay. Let's see what we have. More Sicilian. Why not? Okay. Sveshnikov. Okay. It is open. Knight c3. e5 is coming up. And my opponent is saying that the stream is muted. Ah. Do I believe that? Knight b5 is the most testing. By default, that's what I want to go forward with. I see that this is also fine. I'm going to try that. I'll try it. My king is safe. Are we going to get into a quick ending? Okay, so now what? Suppose this happens. What do you do? Should I be afraid of doubled f-pawns? Just going to avoid any imbalance. I was thinking my other option was king c7. And the reason it's okay to, be uncastled is because the queens are off and my king is going to have a perfectly safe home on c7. However, another good home might be what square? It might be e7. What are some other things? Some other things to note are concerning the bishops. Which ones are good, which ones are bad. I think being aware of that concept will allow you to know that maybe knight here is, if it's not the best move to be making, it's certainly one to be considering. Because it's welcoming my bad bishop for my opponent's good bishop. And if they're exchanged, my king is perfect on e7. It is an endgame. My king is in the center and contributing in a good way. So now what? I don't have any other choice if the bishop takes, but what if it doesn't take? What if it goes to e3? I think I get out of the pin right away, and okay. To be honest, I don't know how I would follow up exactly. Things are much more smooth right now for me, but if bishop e3, king c7, I was thinking about for a moment bishop c5, but it fails tactically to rook takes knight with check first, and only then bishop takes bishop. This knight is out of play because of just a silly little pawn on c6. If I play my knight to f6, the pawn plays here, and similar to how my pawn is boxing out this one, the f-pawn would be boxing out my knight from making use of, let's say, g4, which could be maybe be a little bit disruptive if it's able to eye both f2 and e3. So that said, my thoughts here are now knight c5 or knight b6. Or b5. Maybe that's better. I'm going to go with that. I want some more information about the address of this bishop. In fact, if it goes to b3, one thing that I could look forward to is now knight c5 with the follow-up being a5. And if as soon as the a pawn moves, then I take the bishop and my opponent is having to take away from the center. Is that really a structure in, let's say, a3, b3, b2 structure? Is that really going to be exploitable? I'm not so sure. Nevertheless, I think knight c5 is the best. Pressure on both bishop and pawn, and is threatening pawn push. I don't know if I would really end up winning a pawn. Knight takes is always met with something like rook here, and there's two unprotected pieces on the e-file, so anyhow it's supported. a4, this pawn would have to move. We could enter, of course, a knight versus bishop ending where I'm the side that has the bishop. Maybe let me do this actually. Yeah, let me do this. a5. So big decision now for white. Do you go 1 or 2? I really don't know which one is best. Let us see. Do I take this bishop? Do I push first? No. I'm down on time. Maybe I should keep the pawn's flexibility. No, maybe I should just take. No. I got it. I take here, and then I pinpoint this pawn. The king has to step up. How do I make progress? I need to create another weakness somehow. Pawn push is met with here, and then I have possibilities for overtaking control of the d file just because I could control d1. If I could control b3, I could control d1. And if I could control d1, I might be able to control the d file. A little domino effect right there. Some logic to follow. So what else is there to do? I guess that's the other move that was being considered. And I guess a4 takes I could get here. But maybe my a pawn becomes a problem. So I just don't know. Maybe I could think about the other side of the board, g5 with g4 to follow. One pair of rooks is going to come off the board. Pawn push takes, bishop b3. I don't know how big of a... No, what am I talking about? My a pawn could be a target. It's not going to be a target, is it? I don't know. Let me do this first. I'm down to a minute. I can't... I did the best explaining and thinking that I could do right now up to this point. I have to move faster. I'm trying to do something. I want to maybe somehow create a target on the king side of the board. I'm not sure what's going to come about on this side. Okay. I don't think it really matters, but... No, it does matter, actually. I'm going to take with this, and now get something like this going. I want to keep my rook here. And I want to create some target over here. I want to keep my opponent guessing. Pawn push, pawn push. See, the reason I don't want to kick this knight right away is because it's a case of chasing the knight to a square it might have already wanted to go to. b4 maybe takes right away, or just moves right away to a4. However you slice it, b4, the knight makes use of a4, but after a4, b4, the knight, of course, can't do that. And I'm really most concerned about this knight finding a good home. I don't want to allow it to, let's say, make use of d5. For this whole game, I was never considering moving this pawn. And now I think I do what? I probably should be creating some pawn exchange soon. This could turn out to be a problem. If the knight tries to go into here, I could take it and I think target it at some point. Well, that's actually maybe a bit far off. We're going to see. Knight g3, maybe g4 is best. I'm going to work on the king side. If pawn push, then this pawn. I want to get my bishop here one day and kind of go into Pac-Man mode. So I'm looking to now play on this side of the board. And I think it'll start like this. I'm looking for a pawn push and then maybe taking with the rook. And then I'm targeting this square. This rook is on an open file, but notice that there's no entry point, so I'm not too concerned about that. This knight can maybe try and get into this square. Knight c1. I'm gonna try this. And I'm going to take with my rook, just so the knight can't make use of that square so easily. And now that the knight isn't on c3 to get to this square, maybe I could allow my c-pawn to now contribute. Pawn push, and then this. So I'm supporting my rook so I could get in this advance. I'm opening things up, which is benefiting my bishop. Pawn push is going to be cramping to the knight. And the exchange of rooks is one that I really don't want. And I was having outside pass pawn as well. My rook is very active. I was saying before about my bishop wanting to get here. My rook, wait, oh, I only have 10 seconds. I want to maybe even get my rook there. Can I get that? working. Rook to e1. I think king here and then rook here. The king kind of goes back and forth. Oh, it didn't go there. It's dropping a pawn. The knight is boxed out. This is a one king and pawn endgame. Making progress now. Okay, down on time. Whew. Good game. That was the first time we played, and a good game it was. Alright, let's go back. Let's flip that board. So, it's rare to see it start out with an open Sicilian, and we quickly get into an endgame out of the Sveshnikov. And it was because of this knight capture, which I really can't recommend. My other option is just to be taking with my b pawn. And then this ensuing d5 move, which you really can't prevent. Maybe you could prevent it for a little bit, but with correct preparation, I'll be able to get that in and overtake central control. I'll be able to eliminate your only central pawn, or maybe even push forward and start kicking your pieces around. So I would really shy away from knight takes knight. I think it works out quite okay for black, no matter how you recapture. And we saw I think this was maybe the first time on stream that I captured with the d pawn when we did have a capture on that square. But knight b5 is the other one to really be going with, the most testing. So in this endgame, black is quite all right. I think you do better when there is this tension to hang on to your bishop, recognizing which bishops are good, which ones are bad. This is your good guy, this is your bad guy. This is my good guy, this is my bad guy, and I'm welcoming my bad bishop for your good bishop exchange. I think you should be avoiding that and dropping back to, let's say, e3. And again, I can't challenge it with bishop here because I'm in a pin, but even if I'm out of the pin with king c7, again, there would be rook takes knight, removing the defender of c5, so it's a bit tricky. I think dropping your bishop back is going to be an improvement, but after that exchange, I really don't have any issue, and it's really you who has to now be careful because of me having the bishop, which is going to be good since there's bishops on both sides of the board in this endgame. One pair of rooks comes off. You'll know I challenged this rook only after it moved. Only when there was the threat of maybe doubling. I wanted to keep one rook on the board. If it's just a knight versus bishop ending, I don't know if I could really put to use that bishop. I'm seeing stuff like b3, or excuse me, b4 and the knight, or just kind of clamping down on this dark square, and the king could kind of come over here. It'd be very difficult to win. I thought my best chance was to keep one rook on the board so I could start to get active in some way. The king side is officially shut down after this. More long term, again, I was looking to get at g2, but that didn't really happen. I think in this final position, the best is just to kind of go back and forth with the king. Good game. Very, very good game, but as it stood, we had a king and pawn in game, which is going to turn out to be winning, but we had no time to finish it.